Welcome back, everyone, to Tennessee This Week. It's time now to hear from our panel of pundits on this Sunday. Joining us now, we have WATE Six on Your Side healthcare analyst Craig Griffith, WATE Six on Your Side political contributor Courtney Piper, and WATE Six on Your Side political analyst George Korda. Good to see all three of you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and jump right into what we just heard. We were talking about Recode Knoxville, something we've been talking about here quite a bit lately. So let's just go right down the line. Craig, do you think this should go to the voters?
I'm not a fan of governance by referendum. I think that this group, instead of standing in front of Kroger getting signatures on a petition, should be standing in front of Kroger's getting people to go to the city council meetings and tell them that they don't want this passed if there is such a groundswell against it. There have been dozens of meetings on this Recode, but it's like most anything else. Until it actually specifically touches you, until you want to get something rezoned, you want to get a building permit for something, most people won't pay any attention to it, and that's when the rubber will meet the road. So I think it'll pass council. I was speaking with the mayor last week, and she thought it would pass at least 6-3, if not even better. So I think it's going to be, before she leaves office, it'll be approved by council.
Do you think the city had a problem with the way they rolled this out? Has there been enough time for people to get involved?
Well, it's been a 2-year process, so if you wanted to get involved, but as a former city government employee, I understand it's very difficult to people to get them to pay attention to things like this that are so conceptual, that don't really affect their daily life. So it's really hard to get people to come out to public meetings. So we'll have to see. Perhaps the city should have gone and taken it, review the building code, and then later on at a point in time reviewed the residential codes. But we'll see.
Courtney, what do you think? Should this go to the voters?
I'm with Craig. I'm not a fan of governing by referendum, and this Recode process has been one of the most well-advertised, well-promoted, publicly accessible processes that I can remember in the 21 years that I have lived in Knoxville. There were 90 public meetings over 2 years. The city sent out something like 55,000 pieces of mail, and they got 350 responses. So there has been ample opportunity, and the city has been very transparent. There's an entire website on Recode. And this group, while well-intended, seems to be rather misinformed. The Recode process and ordinances are very clear that if you are operating your property, let's say an industrial zoning, and this Recode process wants to have maybe a mixed use overlay, you can continue doing that. And in fact, when you sell your property, it's grandfathered in perpetuity, and you can continue operating in an industrial way. So I would really encourage folks to make sure that they are getting the facts and not necessarily just listening to the guy out in front of Kroger that's telling them something to scare them.
Kroger's got involved in this somehow here.
They have. Well, thanks to Craig.
George, what do you think of all of this?
I think it affects every single piece of property inside the city of Knoxville. And I think it is difficult for people to, zoning is an eye glazer. And it's difficult to get a hold of this. The gentleman who's with Community Forum said just since March, they have sent 100 pages of responses to Recode, just since March, to the city. And that in laying that out, he said, look how it could not possibly, by the deadlines they were setting, if they hadn't been moved back, we could have done this. And on that basis, on the basis of it's for who wants this? Who is out there, apart from the mayor, driving and saying this is desperately needed by the city of Knoxville? There's something in the background going on here. Not sure exactly what it is, but there's something. I've been around this game long enough to know it.
I know what's going on.
The mayor, of course you do, you know everything.
Well,
the mayor,
I tend to be informed.
The
yes.
mayor cannot, she doesn't have any political capital after she leaves office, which is pretty soon. So something's driving this, and it isn't to modernize the code of the city of Knoxville.
It most certainly is. What has happened is we've seen neighborhood groups like West Hills and Oakwood Lincoln Park have developers come in and want to put in multi-level, really dense apartment units or condo complexes, and those communities are saying this is not in the character of our neighborhood, and the developer's saying, well, I mean, it's zoned for it, I can do it if I want. And so it's response to those neighborhood requests. Also, we've seen a lot of infill development. Central and Happy Holler is a perfect example. And what we've heard, and the mayor
discussions and many city council meetings on how many people constantly. We also had many discussions on how many people could work at the house. So you have to have the variance process because it's not going to take everything.